Married couples or soon to be married couples that are looking to invest in your marriage and be financially conscious, this is for you. My name is Mal Levodi with financiallypresent.com. So this is your one-stop shop for financial and investment education. And I just recently celebrated my 11-year wedding anniversary with my wife. And what better way to celebrate than to just give you 11 ways that we've invested in our marriage. This is actually part 2 of a two-part series. And if you have not watched the first video, I want you to make sure you pause this one, go back and rewatch it, or go back and watch it, and then come back to continue. So in this video, we're going to go over the remaining 5 ways to invest in your relationship, specifically your marriage. As you know, your investment in your marriage is, if not the biggest, is one of the biggest financial commitments you can make. And this is why the way number 7 is talk about money. You have to talk about money with your significant other, obviously. I know for us, it comes naturally for me because I'm in finance, my wife's a teacher, and we make it work. But for context, we've been together for a very long time. And you have to make sure that you're having these open and honest communications about money. And for some people, they can do it with a joint account, and others may be able to do it with having separate accounts. To just give you some overall guidance, you have to make sure you know enough so that you don't have to ask too many clarifying questions. So whatever it takes to do that is what you need to do. I know for us personally, most of our accounts are joint, with the exception of a couple credit cards that we had, earlier in our relationship. And that makes it clarifying enough for us that we know what's going on. And in my opinion, you have a second pair of eyes that can be more vigilant and understand, hey, what's that charge, or where did that come from? And if you've talked long enough about it, you don't have any issues or any qualms about it. I can't speak to those who have done it where they keep everything separate and they balance certain charges, or they make sure one person accounts for this and one person accounts for that. But I know for the cleanliness of our financial household, it makes it so much simpler for everything to just be together, pretty much everything. For additional context, we actually started a savings account 2 years into dating. And that actually made things very interesting. It came to a point where it threw me off guard when my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, said, hey, we should open up a joint account. And I was like, I don't really know you like that. I know you, but I don't know you like that. Not financially, right? Because finances are intimate. So I took it to the friend and they said, what's the big deal? Just write up an agreement, open an account. And if you split, then just split it down the middle. And I thought about some more and I was like, you know what? It's not a bad idea. And that account, let me tell you, still stands to this day. It was the account we were able to buy a home with. It supported us and it continues to support us. And I actually made a whole video about that, so feel free to check that video out after this one. But honestly, it's worked very well for us. But again, that's over the course of time and even before we were married. Number 8, don't compare your relationship to others. It's just not worth it. It doesn't work, okay? Look at yourself and look at other people and realize that the chemistry you have with your spouse is not the same type of chemistry someone else has with their spouse. And even if you were to take certain aspects and try and transfer them to yours and stuff, you would get a different recipe. It's just not gonna work out the same. And I know in that same vein, I'm giving you some tips or some ways to invest in your marriage, but use them as best as you can, but with the understanding that it may or may not work for you. It's essentially only here to help lead you to be closer to each other. So that is the main theme of all of this, so that you can prevent financial issues. Just know that if you compare your relationship to another relationship, there is literally no gain. You don't get anything from doing that. In fact, you're actually wasting time that you could be spending with your significant other. Okay, I know for us, within our relationship, we have great chemistry, but at the same time, we've had cultural differences, racial differences, geographical, religious differences. All of these things are built into our chemistry and is what's allowed it to actually work. And we're continuing to build on that. So trying to compare it to someone else it's just not going to be a good time spent. It doesn't work. So let's just put it this way. You can always experiment with other things you may see in different relationships. You can try and pull them into yours, but do that with the understanding that it may not work. And just like investments, past performance does not guarantee future results. Number 9, not everyone's advice is going to work for your relationship. Okay, so you can't take what you see on social media as gospel or as something that's actually going to work or that it will always work. People mainly only show the highlight reel, if they show enough at all. Remember, I told you I'm not going to post everything because I prefer to just live more in the moment. I take a lot of photos and pictures, but not all of them are going to make it online. In fact, I would say 80% doesn't make it online. But at the end of the day, you have to realize that everything you see is just not necessarily going to work for you. You have to maybe rely on some professionals, get the opinion of multiple people, and then eventually do the work on your own. One of the reasons I say this is because, a marriage is not a passive investment. You have to regularly put in the work. This is not like some mutual fund, you just set it and forget it. No, every decision you make can affect your relationship, the relationship with your kids, and your careers, and all of these different things. So you have to make sure that what you're doing is best for you. And you're not always going to find that from someone talking to you online, not even from this video alone. There's so much more out there than these 11 ways. So not everything's going to work for you. In that same vein, it's important to remember that there's not one sole person or one sole relationship that's going to be the model. Okay. Or if you were to ask from that one specific person, what should I do? What should I do? And you follow all of their instructions and do it to their T, what's going to happen when they're gone or when they're not available for advice? You have to figure some of this out on your own or work with your spouse on figuring this out. And the reason why I have to give it to you that way is my relationship with my wife is based on two people who've known each other since they're about 18 years old. And we've shared finances since we've been about 20. And that advice may not work for a couple that's probably in their early 30s that is well established in their career and are finally looking to get married. So you have to be able to filter out some of the stuff you see online or from other people and realize that the real work begins with you and the professional support you can seek. Number 10, have a community. Community is so important, not just with finances as well, but in just going through life. Okay, we've had the pleasure of being in community with people from church, community with friends from college, and community with married couples from work. And they've done wonders. And you start to realize, oh, my problems aren't completely unique. Oh, this person's kids are having tantrums too, or this person is going through this. And you realize that, okay, this is normal. You're not on an island. You're on a isolated part of the island, and you just finally migrated your way to where everyone else is. Okay, so ultimately having a community is very impactful in order to help you understand that, hey, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. This is something I can do. If you're going through a rough patch, you can get through this. Or if it's, if you're going through some really big highs, just understand like there's some lows that could very well be on the horizon. So enjoy the time you have now. And our last way, or our 11th way, is pray together. I know for us, it's not something we've always done, and it's not always as consistent as we would like it to be, but we do pray together. And I think it's something that's helped us realize, or helps us understand that we are part of something much bigger than ourselves. So your marriage is bigger than your ego, bigger than the bad day you've had. It's a representation of Christ's relationship with the church. So the union you have with your significant other is much bigger than just you and your everyday. And praying together helps us remember that, and helps us understand that, hey, there's so much else going on, and let's just be thankful for what we have. And by having that connection, it allows us to just remember. So those are the 11 ways you can invest in your marriage. There are plenty more, but I wanted to leave you with these 11 on our 11-year anniversary. And I'd love to hear from you. What are some ways that you invest in your marriage? What are some ways you hope to invest in your marriage? I couldn't cover everything, but I'd love to see in the comments below. If you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new to the page, and turn on notifications so that you don't miss out on future content. And until next time, stay present.